Uh, yes, good evening, friends. Um, Glad to start yet another meeting of Inform today, scheduled on last Saturday. This time, we thought of two topics. One was pending for some time, hardware for cath lab interventions by nephrologists. The cath lab has caught the imagination of many new nephrologists, and everybody is eager to enter cath lab and start interventions. So many times, yes. So most of the time, we are utterly dependent on the cardiologist or interventional radiologist. Even if they are not, if even if you don't pass on the case to them, in the cath lab, you want them to be around to help you out, and or at least the cath lab technicians and the staff. So I think these are unavoidable, but yet I think it is necessary that we should have a good knowledge about all the hardware being used for our interventions, because the list is so huge and variations are too many. But luckily for our AV fistula interventions, all we need is in a limited number of catheters and sheets and wires and balloons. So even if the list is small, I think we should have thorough knowledge about this hardware. How, when to choose which, and how to use them, the limitations of each of these catheters and things like that. I think we should spend more time on that, and at least initially, when you start, better try to be in the front and start doing everything yourself. uh, Why there is an echo? Not depending on the cath lab technician or the other specialists, like including distending the balloon and fixing and all those stuff, because these are small things. Once you leave it to them, then by over time you will become redundant, and you'll be only doing the final part. But when if they are not there, you'll be left in lurch. So today, as a beginning, um, Manish would be talking to us on sheets and catheters in some detail about the ones which we would be using more. So that is the first part of the meeting today. And the second one is misplaced tunnel catheters, and especially the dangerous ones. So we now and then see misplaced catheters, and we talk about them frequently. But occasionally we learn about or hear about very scary instances where a catheter gets into the pericardium, into the pleural space, into the atrium, and you can the list goes long. But even though they are rare, I think we should talk amongst ourselves what can happen occasionally. And though we may not be able to avoid all this forever or for a long time, but once you get them in wrong places, you should be able to recognize in time, and we should have now some knowledge about how to get out of the trouble safely. That is what the ethics demands from us. Although we cannot avoid complications, we should be able to recognize them in time and get the patient out of trouble. So in that way, we are starting with a case by Dr. Sindhu from Savida Hospital, Savida Medical College, Chennai, and she has her professor with her to support her. And this happened some time back, and I think some discussion was there in our group also about this case, but today we'll have it in detail. And when I talk like this, then Sampath has another instance where the catheter got into the right atrium, and now Ramohan passed on another set of slides for another instance. So we'll try to cover each of them, and more importantly, I want the chairpersons, the seniors in the group, to before we end, they should give some guidance for people who start doing this. You know how these mistakes could have happened, how we could have avoided, and how to proceed with a safe placement of catheter. I think that would be the message, not to show scary pictures and instances and scare people. So, Manish, I think, just a minute, I will, yeah. So, Dr. Hemant and Dr. Ramohan would be the chairs today, along with Dr. Indumedi, who is the professor of Dr. Sindhu. Um, I chose them particularly because Hemant has plenty of experience. He is one of the lead persons in both in the cath lab as well as tunnel catheter area. So he'll be the right person to be one of the chairpersons. And and we know about him, so I won't be introducing him. He is HOD Interventional Nephrology in Lilavati Hospital, Mumbai. And the next is Dr. Ramohan Bhatt. And we know that now he is, when we think of tunnel catheters, it has to be Ramohan Bhatt. Not only the techniques he has, but the way he can teach others, arrange meetings and workshops. And we have seen his prowess during the last avatar. So he is around with us to tell us maybe, how these mistakes could have been prevented. And Manish from CMC Vellore. Oh, again, this slide. Sorry, Manish, sorry. He's from CMC Vellore. He'll be the one talking to us uh, on on the catheters. And he dazzled us with this innovation in TC catheter removal. And he's going to come out with a contraption he's been trying to devise with the help of people in our place, a device which can be duplicated from what is available outside. So we'll be hearing about it later. So he's there to talk to us about the catheters and sheets. Then Dr. Sindhu, when I called, because I remembered this case, and when I called her, she very sportively accepted immediately. She's a final year PG doing a DM nephrology in Savida College. Actually, this happened. She had presented this. I mean, posted this in the group, and that time Dr. Nair was there with her, and I wanted him to join today, but I don't know whether he's joined. And she'll be doing that presentation. And Dr. Indumidi is, I think, new to our meeting, although she might have been around lurking, listening to the meeting, but she's here as chair today. She's the professor and head Department of Nephrology, Savida Institute of Medical Sciences. And Sampath said she is his student. Is that so, Indumadi? She did her DM in
Yes, Madurai Medical College, only my MBBS and MD. When I was in MD, sir was there in the GH, I mean Madurai GH. And then my MD was from, DM was from Madras Medical College. So I know sir very well. Yeah.
Okay. So she is member Advanced Clinical Trial Committee, International Society of Nephrology. She has more than 30 publications in national and international journals, and she's a reviewer in national and international journals. And she was awarded the Fellow of the International Society of Nephrology, FISN, and she's very active in WIN India, which is the fast-growing entity in our country. And I think with this introduction, I'll ask Manish to share his slide and start the meeting. And I'm reserving the introduction talk by the chairpersons for later because that might take away the tempo of the meeting. Is it right, Hemant and Ramohan?
Yeah, perfect. Let's go ahead with the presentation first.
Yeah.
Please, sir. Thank you.